All right, everyone, welcome. You made it. It's Friday. Well, most of the way there. Anyway, it's 2 o'clock here on the eastern coast of the U.S. My name's Kevin DeLong, and welcome to another Hubcast here at Cyber Social Hub. So most of you probably ask, hey, I get these and I see these advertisements coming across social. What in the world is Cyber Social Hub? It's really simple. If you saw that QR code in our intro, it's just, it's a trust me, click it, right? Sure, we know it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so it's safe just to click anything that you see out there. But it's just our join code, right? So it's a community of online digital investigators. Really, basically, in a nutshell, that's it. So if you need help with, locating an individual, dissecting an artifact, or making sense of some type of digital evidence or data that you have, we have a community of digital investigators. And here's the most important part. This was my favorite part when I was in law enforcement. 100% free. You don't have to be in law enforcement to join, but it is free. So I'll pop the code up. There it is, right there. I don't know. That one might be a little small for you to scan with your phone. But again, it's Cybersecurity Month, so take a chance, click it, and and you should be good. One other announcement I want to mention to you guys is we have officially kicked off the registration for Cyber Social Con, which is our annual online conference. It's 100% online. And again, your favorite word, if you've been following the show for any amount of time, is 100% free. That's right. So we're having, I don't even know how many talks it is. And I know Megan is somewhere in there. Hey, Parabin's down in there. And how many talks we have going, but there's a bunch of them, literally just 2 days, back-to-back talks. And you can watch the replay if you're not able to catch it live. All we need you to do is head over and register. We'll pop the URL up here in just a minute. I'll pull it up so you guys can take a look at it. And we don't have all the speakers on there quite yet. We're working on it to get there. Megan thinks it's 12, 10, or 12 or something like that. So we'll say 12 just for. Today's the day. Right? It's Friday. That's the way it is. And with that, we have another awesome guest today. I'll tell you what, we get some of the best people that are willing to give their time. And I honestly just don't know if they realize what they're getting themselves into before they come in. But I can see Jeff down in the green room laughing. So that's good. He's got a good humor because here it comes. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him up. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us on the show today, man. I really appreciate it.
Kevin, I'm excited to be here, although it's only 11 o'clock here on the West Coast, so I got a few more hours till Friday, though I'm now concerned, what did I join? Where
Yeah, because a lot of ours are guest people here on the East Coast. They come in, and I think they're pretty much done with their day at this point, and you'll see the chat start to get cranking away. Like, oh wait, who's Mr. Tampa? Privacy. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat down here. There's a running joke here, Jeff. I'm going to tell you about it. So Megan is and I think I told you in pre-show, she's kind of to make sure it all gets done. Everything here at the company, she makes sure
everything.
She keeps me in line, even, which is important, right? And her dad works for a forensic company, and he's been in the industry longer, but people don't know him as well as they know Megan because of the show here, and everybody refers to him as Megan's dad in the industry. And so that's a big running joke, including right here. Will has changed up his now that I see who this is. It's a big running joke anyway on the show. So
all right, well, I will try not to make the great Lady Oz upset to do anything funny with my video.
Yep. So we're actually streaming on, and you're the first victim for this, so thank you for this. We're streaming to 4 networks simultaneously right now. So hopefully the picture's clear and everybody can relay and say, yeah, everything looks great, because we're pushing out to Facebook, to our standard YouTube, of course. We're also pushing out to LinkedIn and to Twitter, all at the same time. So I bet you my internet connection in the other room is just screaming. I'm glad the kids are still in school and nobody's trying to steal my bandwidth. So life is good. Anyway, Jeff, again, thanks so much. You're with a company called Authentic8, right? And I'm not sure, our audience may not be that familiar. So I guess give everybody a little bit of background of your background and
Mhm.
of the company's background and what it is exactly you guys do.
Sure. So currently, I run product marketing for Authentic8. If I go a little bit about me and then I'll go into the company. So
Sure.
I've been in the tech space. I won't even give the number of years, decades. Going back, I started off. I've been in product management, product marketing my whole career. So whether it's defining features and requirements for engineers to build for us, or now on the product marketing side, kind of understanding our target markets, our customers, and all the go-to-market activities. Started off in the wide area network world back in the early 90s before the internet started with frame relay technologies, ATM, and then the internet came. And so I spent a lot of time in telcos.
Ah, okay.
Came out to the West Coast, got into software, figured I'd end up out here, but I will say that that wide area networking led into security. You started to see that blend together, offering managed wide area network services along with managed firewalls, managed intrusion prevention services. So that's where I got into security. Had a little detour in the television video software space. Um,
Nice.
that was pretty cool. Where it was IPTV and all these telcos wanting to offer television to their end users as part of those triple and quad packages, but then wanted to get back into the security space. So about 2.5 years now or so ago, I joined Authentic8. Um, Authentic8 been around for almost 10 years. Um, Hundreds, over 600 customers these days across the commercial as well as government space. And
Hmm.
we can get into it later, but really, we have a platform that allows um, people that need to conduct, I'll say, secure and anonymous online research. We have a platform that enables them to do that obviously securely and anonymously, but it's as a service. And We can go into it, but lots of tools that help the online research community do their jobs more efficiently, more effectively.
So for someone like me, you make it so I can't screw the whole thing up and you keep me safe online, right? That's really what
It,
you're saying.
it's what I'm saying, and because it's a great point. I mean, we have people there. There are the cybersecurity junkies we sell to security operations centers and
Hmm.
cyber threat teams who, I mean, they can build stuff. They can go get a cold computer and put VMs on it, get a, do all their things to try to protect themselves. Uh, but then, trust and safety analysts or law enforcement, there's those of us that need to be secure, need to be anonymous, but I just want to point and click and go. I don't need to know all the technology behind it.
Right. And man, just the amount that goes into trying to anonymize and secure your connection, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes into it. And that's really what I want to talk about a little bit. I mean, we kind of titled the hubcast for lack of better terms is, are you leaving digital footprints, right? Is when
Mm-hmm.
people are doing investigations, they're probably not aware of the amount of data and stuff that's left behind. Like say if I'm just jumping on my Mac right now and I go out to the web, just the amount of data I'm transmitting, even from
Right.
incognito mode. And you talk a little bit about something about attribution, right? Managed attribution. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. And actually, if I could, let's start with the word attribution.
Sure.
The word attribution means assigning an identity to an entity or to an activity or to an individual, right? So I'm attributing something to someone or something. So that's attribution. Um, you know, if you take the word non-attribution, that would describe a scenario, or in our case, as we're a community that's doing online research, non-attribution would be a scenario where there was no data that could be tracked of mine. None of my activities could be monitored. You couldn't link anything to a specific person or to an entity. Um, and while that sounds good, and a system that aims to let me be completely anonymous on the internet, and that sounds ideal, really it ends up being counterproductive. Really, in our opinion, it's about blending in versus being anonymous, right? You would actually stand out from the crowd if you were nothing was known about you, nothing about your machine. We'll get into what is a digital fingerprint, but if there was nothing, if you were a blank thing out there on the internet, that would actually make you stand out if you were completely anonymous. So that's non-attribution. And then there's, if you then say, well, people are familiar with the term misattribution, that's basically pretending to be something else or someone else online, right? That can mean changing your IP address and looking like you're coming from another location. There's different ways to misattribute yourself, but a subset of that, or a link to misattribution, is managed attribution. And so what I mean by that is the ability to actually manage and customize your attribution or your online presence, right? So depending on the investigation you're doing or the types of research you need to do, how can I control aspects of my online identity? We can talk about things like browser fingerprint and user agent string. So managed attribution is the ability to control and manipulate your digital fingerprint.
Wow. Yeah, it's not a lot you think about. I mean, really, I did investigations forever, an online investigation. Back then, I hate to say my age, but it's pretty clear there's a lot of gray hiding in here. But, I turned 51 this year, so that's just the way it is. But it was Yahoo chat rooms were the primary thing. And, dark web didn't exist. Heck, the internet was still in pretty basic GeoCity mode back then. It was what it was. And now there's just so much more that you have to consider when you go out, and with the ability of we're being laughed at for mentioning.
Yeah, I'm the same age, just so I might as well throw that out there.
You look younger than I do, so now I'm completely jealous. So there it is. So it's all of those different pieces that we need to be concerned about. And and I threw the link up to your company's website if people want to look at it, and we'll talk a little bit more. See, Ron, I don't know how old Ron is, but he's talking about Usenet. So yeah, Ron, you're starting to show your digital walker out there. You're gonna, pretty soon have to put the bell on it, and there you go with it. But so yeah, there's a lot of considerations with that term attribution. And what came to my mind is what's that TV show, that Catfish, right? Or the
Oh yeah.
So essentially you're managing your digital identity in not quite that dramatic of a fashion, but of the footprints that you leave behind. Is that
Exactly
pretty accurate? Okay, good deal.
That's pretty accurate. And yeah, and there can be ramifications, and when you don't, some more benign than others, but we're with your audience, people are conducting pretty sensitive research at the end of the day. It's not just me Googling because I want to find out what restaurant I want to go to tonight, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I just realized that my Usenet thing didn't go out there, and now we're being made fun of because we're apparently whippersnappers. So that's apparently
are my kids on? Are they in here?
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I did warn you about the chat. I think in our pre-session, sometimes they go off on their own direction. Now they're talking about 300 baud rates.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's the whole nostalgia thing coming back. But I guess the next logical step would be, now that we're talking about that managed attribution, is let's talk about and really define what a digital footprint is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your definition of that?
So a digital footprint, it's the set of attributes that can be used to uniquely identify you online. Mm-hmm. And that list is pretty darn long. We can, talk about some resources to go out and get a better feel for what all those attributes are. But we'll talk about things like your user agent string. So that's, what is your OS? What browser, in what version of that OS, type of OS, what browser version are you using? There's your browser fingerprint. What plugins do you have plugged into your browser? What's your IP address, and which leads to your location? What are your language settings, time zone settings? So all of these things, your user agent string and your browser fingerprint, combine that with your location, and then importantly, especially for your audience here, there is your behavior online, or what I would call your trade craft, right? So
Mm-hmm.
where do you go? If you get it, if every morning you're doing the exact same thing, you start to develop certain behaviors. And so um, adversaries or sites, depending on the scenario, can actually uniquely identify you based on all of those elements we just talked about, and come up with a good picture to be able to identify you every time you come to their site, or whatever you're looking to do to communicate or track or monitor or across platforms, that they can start to uniquely identify who you are based on all of those parameters. And that's your digital fingerprint.
Hmm. So you're saying that like the bad guys out there, right, or whoever the targets
Mm-hmm.
are, they can exploit and look into our digital fingerprints?
100%. And that can actually, it can impact your investigations. Actually, let me give you a couple of things. I talk to a lot of our customers,
Mm-hmm.
right when they sign up, and there's the really potentially bad things. And I'll start with, I've had customers say, before they started looking at a platform like ours, and we're coming up with a better solution for their researchers to be secure and anonymous. I've heard stories from, like, when the pandemic started, people started working from home. One customer, their social media platform, particular analyst group, they focused on terrorist related activities on their platforms. And so anytime that was flagged as a potential, went to this team. And now they're working from home. And one analyst, assumed a VPN was good enough to hide his identity. And their research goes quickly. If you're trying to paint a picture of something that's posted, it takes them off the platform into other social media websites, right, to get a whole picture. That included, in this case, following an individual into different types of chat rooms, and again, across social media platforms. The scary part of the story was, one morning, breakfast with the family, gets a
Mm-hmm.
knock on the front door, and the FBI shows up. The FBI started, as they're looking at things, that chat room that had a benign name to it and lots of things going on it, was known to be a place where terrorists would gather to have quick conversations. And when they linked that with other places, this person who was just trying to track someone that might be a terrorist, was all put together. The FBI was able to locate them. Obviously, everything turned out all right, but it's a bit scary to have the FBI show up at your door while you're having breakfast.
No kidding.
Um, yeah, I mean, had another one where there was a team focused on, um, again, more hazardous groups, hate groups, cartels, and things like that. All their research tended to evolve around social media platforms, whether it was Instagram to Telegram. But they got very concerned for their analyst safety, because they had, I believe it was, two instances where, related to Instagram investigations. You
Mm-hmm.
got to assume this also had to do maybe with some younger people, but their analysts ended up getting swatted, right? They figured out who they were and swatted. And for those, I assume most of you know swatting, but that's where you call the police with a very bad scenario and they come showing up at your house, right? Potentially SWAT teams, which can be dangerous, right? So, I'm giving you those. Those are some examples where the concern is for the individual analyst, and protecting them. And then there's why you're investigating. There's also the companies want to protect themselves, right? And they themselves being associated with a particular investigation or research. But then, if I take it from the more, those kinds of really terrible scenarios that could come up, there's kind of the more fundamental, where if the adversary identifies you and your fingerprint,
Mm-hmm.
um, they can start to do different things, right? They could, for example, just block you. Next thing you know, you're blocked altogether from getting to a particular account or a particular website, whatever the case may be, or they go into hiding, right? But that now hinders your investigation. We know we have customers that are concerned with, if they're identified, then there's disinformation, right? That's put up on a site. So if they know your IP or you're part of the world, if you hit this website or this server from the US IP, you get certain information. If you come at it from another geography, different information is being presented. So you could get targeted with disinformation. We mentioned there's the bad part of, does your machine get infected with malware once they
Right.
identify you?
Right.
And in that case, not like, I get it, your IT teams don't want viruses and stuff like that. But what if it's spyware trying to, key log you and monitor where you're going? So, and then in that worst case, I've said is they take your digital fingerprint, piece it all together to try to get to your real identity. But there's things that can hinder an investigation if people can figure out who you are and that you're watching them.
Yeah, I mean that's insane. There's so much to consider, and a lot of times, like I said, I've been doing these things for quite some time, and didn't even consider some of those. So I'm sure I've made some pretty bad mistakes. Luckily, maybe the technology was a little bit behind when I was doing these types of investigations out there. And it's funny, I was kind of watching the chat room here, and people
Right.
concerned for the FBI coming to their door, but they're just trying to take things from them. So yeah.
Yeah. Things they were hungry. They were hungry.
Yeah, I'd be concerned. I'm a donut guy myself, but try not to eat those things much anymore. But it is what it is. Never a dull moment in the chat room here. So hey, also real quick, I forgot to mention I did post this in chat for everybody who's watching. If you have a question for Jeff at any time, just go ahead and ask it in chat and just put a Q and a colon, can be capital or small. Either way, I should be able to find it. That way it helps. I can filter down the chat with the software that we use here. We can quickly find that and try to get those answered. But I'm keeping a close eye. So if you have a question and it's pertaining to what we're talking about, we'd like to answer those right then, right there. That way we don't have to jump subjects back and forth. It's a lot easier. So if you got a question for him, feel free to ask. If you're watching this in the replay, just post down there in the comments below, and then I will make sure Jeff gets a copy of those, and he can get your information, and maybe just we can relay some answers back and forth either way. But the best way to do it, because I know Jeff is now in Cyber Social Hub, so you could ask him right there.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I saw your screen name come through, but I don't remember what it is. But it's if you search, I think it was J.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Did I put Jeff_Phillips?
You may have. You may be like unique
It
like
wasn't.
me. I just did Kevin DeLong because I can't think of anything.
I didn't hide myself. It wasn't good tradecraft. I was
Cool to use. Yeah. Hey, Ron has a question right away, so let's jump right on. Oh, there you go. So that kind of leads into the next question, actually, Ron. Thank you for the segue, and you didn't even know I was coming to ask this question next. It's like, so with this is a lot of people say, hey, make sure you're using a VPN or make sure you're using incognito mode, or in this case, proxies. How much do those really help when it comes to the fingerprinting?
Sure. So I want to say up front, doing something is better than nothing, right? I've engaged with customers who were doing nothing. They weren't even firing up a VPN or using one of the more privacy-centric browsers and search engines, whether it's Brave, et cetera. So something is better than nothing. Couple of things about a VPN and things like incognito mode. Maybe it's not a given, but note that for sure, neither of those things are going to do anything to protect you against malware, right? So they're focused on your anonymity, but from protecting your device, your corporate network, that tunnel for that VPN, obviously they can come right through it. The other side of it is, depending if we're talking about, a free VPN that comes with a browser extension, you got to be careful about some of those extensions and what kind of information are they themselves collecting, and what are they leaking themselves. So not all VPN services are equal. There are lots of, if you Googled it, scenarios where VPNs also have DNS leaks, and so information is not only is known by your provider, but that it can leak out. Whether it's who the connection provider is or getting to those configurations we talked about, or if they're out of sync, right? You can get into a scenario where do not quite look right. So you just want to make sure you don't have a cheap disguise, right? Or dealing with super cookies, and are they doing canvas fingerprinting? So there's a lot of things that are out there that, again, I said a VPN and incognito modes are better than nothing. People will even go to the next level of installing VMs, which we can talk about to try to, to separate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
but they're not going to protect you fully. And again, if you're going to use an extension or anything like that, you really want to know what kind of information is being shared about you at the end of the day. And I'll say one other thing with a VPN, it also depends on the geographic scope of your research, right? So a VPN is going to give you an IP address from a certain place geographically.
Right.
But are you able to get everywhere you need to go with to look like you're in that country or in that region around the world if your research takes you down that path?
Right. And one of the things I noticed also with just some my own experimentation is some
Mm-hmm.
VPNs, and when you're using them, or even some of the public proxy servers that are out there, some websites are actually blocking those by default now, and you can't
Mm-hmm.
even access these things because they recognize that, hey, yeah, this isn't a legit host, so no.
Well, that brings up something I remember. Good point. One, by the way, I've also heard stories where people don't notice their VPN dropped,
Oh man.
and then and you keep on going. Well, now you just
Oh no.
connected everything and dropped. Yeah,
Our connection's a little funky
not
right
a good.
here, Jeff. So I'm gonna give a pause just for a
Okay,
second and make sure
okay.
everything's good. I'm just gonna ask the audience, how's the connection on your side? Is it all good? Are we smooth? There's a lot of questions going through chat. I know you can probably see those right now,
I
and
do
we're gonna
see
try
some.
our
Yeah.
best to get to those through that. Yeah, and
Okay.
we're living in the future for about, I don't know, 15 seconds. So when we ask a question, okay, everyone's saying good. All right, good. Maybe it was
Okay.
just on my end. I apologize for that. But Troy has an interesting question as well. Um,
Hmm.
so this is part one of it. He's laying down the foundation. There's two parts to this. Um, so he's from the criminal defense side, and he can't ethically
Hmm.
fake or spoof who they are. So obviously that's going to pose a little bit of a challenge. So what he's asking is they're allowed to observe, but then again can't fake anything like law enforcement can do. And do you have any recommendations or things that maybe you can uh, things that they can still do to protect themselves as defense side of the house?
Hmm.
Yet they have those ethics they need to follow up on.
And we totally get that, Troy. That's a great point, which is we haven't even gone down the path of are you creating sock puppets, as they're called, or personas, right? A fake identity that you're using to engage with people, and that is going to come down to whether you're on the government side or on the commercial side. You do want to understand what the policies are. That policy could even be, am I allowed to access the dark web or not? Before you go accessing the dark web, are we allowed to access the dark web, or what are our rules around that? And I've heard plenty from what you're mentioning is that that I'm allowed, we can observe, but we can't engage with fake personas. So I'm not sure, specific to your rules. Now, there's a difference between and you may have said it, can you not even spoof who you are and hide your IP address and some of those parameters to what am I trying to say? To observe, but you're not creating a fake actual persona. You're not going in and making we'll make up a new name, John Smith, and I'm making a fake Facebook account. I'm not talking about that and creating that whole fake persona. I'm talking about going to those pages that are publicly available, may not include, if you're familiar with like the term OSINT, right, open source intelligence, may or may not include like logging into the platform. Like I can go to Twitter or Instagram and I can see things without having logged in and having logged in with a fake identity, right? So not, so we've had some customers where it's okay to observe and not show my IP address and hide my IP address, but I didn't create a fake identity to then go in and look like someone else.
Okay, yeah, Troy. If you have any more questions, I know he's in a unique situation. I know Troy personally, and he's
Oh,
always in a unique situation with those things
mhm.
that they can and can't do. Maybe it's worth the conversation. What exactly his kind of parameters are, and if you guys have some
Right.
suggestions or help with him
And
on that.
one thing about when we talk about tools and the different ways you can go and protect yourself, that that leads me to, in my head, again, I don't want to make this a sales pitch, but whether you build your own solution, we'll call it that, a DIY, or we're a service.
Hmm.
Um, that part about being able, what are the policies? Do you have, and let's say you have more than one person. There's a difference to me between, one person and I do it for myself because I go out and investigate, versus I'm a company or an organization or an agency.
Right.
I'm a law enforcement agency. Having the ability to enforce policy of what you can and can't do, and having logs of what people did really helps, I believe, from a compliance perspective, right? So that you have that data. Here's where we went, what we did, or what that person did. They went here, here, and here. They downloaded this. That's all. Do you need to have that all logged? And do you need to have policy controls to say what you can and can't do when you're out there doing this online research?
Okay. Very cool. Um, so there's some more questions, but I'm holding it because it's really a good segue till the end. So, Chris, I'm going to hold on your that you have there real quick till the end. It's something that Jeff had told me pre-show. But moving on to the next question was that there's some other misconceptions, right, about people maybe manipulating their digital fingerprints, like using public Wi-Fi, searching from a phone or personal device. What are some of those that, kind of, can you go into those a little bit, maybe?
Sure. It's amazing how many times I've talked to people where one of their approaches to doing some of this research was, to get off the corporate network,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little more now that we're not all so much from work from home, but even if you don't want to associate anything to your home network, go into use a public Wi-Fi to do that research, or yeah, in a nutshell, go sit at a coffee shop. Um, one of the main concerns with that is, that is a public network, and
Right.
you've just got to be aware about malware, right? Whether that's man in the middle types attacks or people are sniffing. You don't want, again, maybe you're not as worried about a virus type for IT side, but if spyware, keyloggers, any of that could get downloaded onto your machine while you're in a public Wi-Fi spot, and then follows you around, even when you disconnect, that can be concerning. Again, I'm not saying public Wi-Fi is not better than doing it on your dedicated corporate company network, but it's not necessarily the perfect solution if you don't have other protections around it. I've also heard a fair amount, in particular from law enforcement, where maybe they're blocked from going by IT from certain sites that they would
Right.
want to get to as part of investigation. And just, the easy answer is just to grab a phone, your own personal phone. Um, we all, for some reason, we think the phone is got less of a fingerprint or less is tracked about it as compared to a laptop. When I have it on there, people seemingly now understand, because we get custom ads and ads follow me everywhere I go, that I'm being tracked there. But the same thing could be happening on your phone. It's got an OS, it's got a browser,
Right.
it's got your personal Facebook account, or that might have dated my age, your personal, TikTok account. So that's a challenge when you go out there. I mentioned extensions. I should say, you can, and I'll give some tools or resources to go check out that have links to extensions that look to help you with your fingerprint, be it manipulate it or hide it. You just got to be careful with those, right? They're most likely collecting information about you for their app. And then I don't know that we want to go in now, but fake profiles and creating a fake profile, or a sock puppet, as it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That, just know that to me, that's a professional endeavor. Those need care and feeding on a regular basis, and you can't screw up, right? And have that end up on your work machine accessing your real Instagram account in the same session, or later on open up your browser and access your sock puppet, right? You're going to link the two. Or on Facebook, next thing you know, things are friending and making friend recommendations. So I hear a lot about people wanting to go create those, and there's definitely a skill. So do a lot of research about that on not only creating one, but and whether you're allowed to is another
Mm-hmm.
whole separate question, as the gentleman Troy mentioned earlier. Whether you're allowed to do that is something you want to know. But if you're going to do, they need care and feeding. They need to do things and go like things, and it's as much what you do and how what your activities are online, or as much a part of that profile as you coming up with a fun, an anonymous name and a picture and stuff like that. I mean, it's what are your activities? What are you liking? Where are you going? Who are you communicating? Because if you're doing nothing, then that stands out also. If you're just this, we all see that, a profile with no friends and no likes and no whatever, that looks ridiculous.
So much more challenging now than the days of, again, Yahoo chat rooms. You didn't know 100%. Nothing about you except you were a name scrolling through, right? Now you actually have to build that background, like you were your character, who that is. It was funny, Jeff. The first time I heard the term, I come from the law enforcement world. The word sock puppet. It's not something we used, and the first thing that comes in is that crazy little monkey thing. That's the first thing I visualize, and I still do it every time. So sorry if you see me giggle when anyone says sock puppet. That's what's running through Kevin's head is that little stuffed animal from a sock.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can admit something here. How about this on your show? I had created an account, and I was not in law, doing online investigations from the sense of a true investigation, but I do a lot of demos. I use the tool and our tool, for example, and so I really don't want to be showing my personal stuff, right? So I created some things. I got a new laptop the other day, fired it up, and you're moving bookmarks, and just getting it all reset up. And I was in my browser, I hit Facebook and wasn't paying attention, and it linked me immediately to that other account. And I can't, and now it won't, now it's directly connected. If I go in and log into so I've burned that account, because if I go in and use again and then launch because I am at work way too many hours, if I launch my personal Facebook page or anything else, it would connect the two. And so, and it had been fine for 2.5 years, and now it's burned.
No, man, that's terrible. Having something that long, and it's just.
And I'm not even doing anything spooky with it. Right? Just don't want to, But I'm telling you that from a trade craft. If I was a law enforcement and doing things, I burned that persona in a few seconds.
So. Yeah, I would probably do that in less seconds, but yeah, so it happens. And I'm sorry, I'm not distracted here. I'm getting this thing that I keep getting this thing. I've never seen this on our platform. So I've got a super chat. Chris, you don't have to donate money to our channel. We do this for free. There you go. I see this super chat thing, and I'm hoping it just comes up and stops. So, but for doing, Chris, get a hold of me in Cyber Social Hub. Join, and you're going to get your money back. Plus, I got something for you to give to you just for the kindness of that. We don't. There's no need to super chat me. I do appreciate it though, but I'll send you some pint glasses for that if we can't get that money back to you right away.
Nice.
And I know, Jeff, I'm going to send you one of these things as well for appearing on the show. I really appreciate it. But I want to get to a couple more questions here. I can't make this super chat thing go away. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea. Sorry, because we just got recently. We went. The YouTube channel has grown really fast. A lot faster than I expected. We have just in the last couple of months, we jumped to over 4,000 subscribers, which was, it's pretty considerable in our little genre, little space out there. So I'm still learning. Oh, Chris, no worries. Don't apologize. I want to send you something back to thank you for that too, by the way. So no worries, man. I don't know what that is. So I saw the super chat thing and I had no clue, and that's what it is. YouTube's turning on all these features because we're now YouTube partners, and I just have no idea what it is. Cool. So my apologies for my own ignorance there. But let's jump back to topic here. And I bet you have some resources to help some folks out, to maybe
100%
point them in the right direction on some of their online investigations.
100%. And I've used these resources myself, especially, when I first joined, to be honest, when I joined, the whole concept of what all goes into conducting secure and anonymous or sensitive research was a bit new to me. The first one I'll mention is miunique.org. So AMIunique.org.
I'm gonna
So
go
you can
look
go
this up.
there. First of all, you can click on a button and it will look at your machine. It'll run a little script and it will tell you um, how unique your machine and digital fingerprint is. So reminder, you're not looking to be unique. You might want to do that in your personal life, but
Mm-hmm.
standing out is again not what you're wanting to do. You want to blend in, right? So it's amazing. Even someone like myself, I've got a Windows PC. I'm running Windows 11. I don't have a ton of interesting stuff in my opinion, but you will see that you stand out. You are unique based on all the plugins and all kinds of things that are happening. So you can go there and first of all test, and it'll say, do you stand out or not? But it's got a lot of other resources at that page, and it's run by a group of French academic researchers.
Hmm.
But they have great explainers on browser fingerprinting. They have links to some of those privacy tools that I mentioned, like they're typically Chrome extensions. If you're using Chrome, that may help you, manipulate or hide different things. But it's a great resource beyond just the fun of figuring out how unique you are. There's check out the links to a lot of the tools and some really good explainers on what browser fingerprinting, what all it consists of.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
it's super cool, and it's shocking. Usually, when I've gone to it, that my machine, if you will, stands out in the crowd so much. Similar but a little different. Just to give you another feel, there's another one called Cover Your Tracks.
Mm-hmm.
It's again built out of a research project, and it starting back in 2010, I believe, but it continues to evolve, and they'll put out new versions, and it it'll do something similar about understanding your fingerprint and telling you what your fingerprint looks like or what it's saying about you. But it
Mm-hmm.
also does things like how effective other privacy tools you may bolt on are. As for example, are you able to block ad blockers for the very basic one? But what it's doing, it runs tests and all kinds of different tracking tests to simulate the real world. And we mentioned, or I didn't even mention it maybe early on, your digital fingerprint has usefulness, right? Or maybe some of you may not think it's so useful, but that's how, when you go to a website, it remembers who you are. That's how you get ads that instead of something that I really have no interest in, that it might be customized for me. So these cookies and digital fingerprints and things they track for when you hit the site come from a place of wanting to add value on the internet. But they'll use those mechanisms get turned around and used for more nefarious purposes, as we talked about. But Cover Your Tracks is another one that's got a lot of explanation about the different tools and how you're being tracked online. And
Is that the
then,
one from the EFF? I want to make sure I have the
yes,
right one.
EFF dot. It's a weird address. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I see it here. I wanted to make sure before I popped it up what it was, and
Yep.
um, I'm trying very carefully to read this before I pop it up on the screen here
Sure.
to see what I'm going to be exposed as, since we're not
Yeah.
using anything I'm directly out. But no, this is really great information. I'm going to post this one out to folks here.
And then one other one, Kevin, to help you as far as blending in. I don't know if your folks are familiar with Stat Counter. If you go to
I
Stat
am not.
Counter, it's
Stat
another
counter.
research engine, but it it helps you, in particular, if you're in your research or your investigations take you on a global scale. Remember, I
Mm-hmm.
talked about
Is this the
it's
one?
about blending in and manipulating or managing your identity, managing your anonymity. It provides you data by country where you can go in and find out, well, what is the most popular browser being used in that
Oh,
part of the
okay.
world? Which search engine? What device type do people most access the internet? Like if you were doing research or investigation in a part of the world where no one's using a Windows laptop because the whole country skipped that and they're just on phones, you would stand out. But it gives you the distinction. You can go and see, well, I'm going into this certain country. Well, I may want to, if you had the capability, but if you had all the bells and whistles, then you could say, oh, I'm going here. I want to look like I want this OS, this browser, and I want to look like using this search engine, and I want to do my research, and I want to look like I'm on an Android phone or whatever the most popular device is
Oh, okay.
in that country.
That's some really valuable information to have. That way you can do a little bit of
You're
homework
able to
and
find that one.
some recon. I think it was, is it just statcounter.com? Is that the one? I hate to bring up the wrong one here because this one looks like it's a. I'll show it to you here. Let me pop this up here. Is this the one right here? Are you seeing this? Stat counter. I don't know. It may not be. It may not be the right one. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I'm not sure which one that one is. On it, I'll let you dig around for that just a smidge, and see if you can find it, because I don't know which one it is. All right. So with that, that's another resource that's out there, right? Stat counter. Oh, I think hopefully I didn't lose you. Is my mic still on? Hello, hello. You guys still hear me okay? Because I don't know if Jeff can anymore. Just want to triple check that we are still live and going. Looks like we're still live. I see my counter still running, but I think Jeff might be having some challenges with something in his connection. Okay, so they say I'm good. So he popped out of there. So we'll see if he comes back. So I'll pop over to my single screen there. Yeah, Jeff, he's gone. I'm not sure what happened to his internet, but hopefully he'll just dial right back in and something, and hopefully he'll come back, please, because I have a million more questions. And this is fascinating. I'm just curious. I'm going to pull you guys here real quick and see. Okay, he's calling back in. Hold on. So there he's back in the guest room here. All right, let's pull him back in. And there he is.
I am so sorry. I had a great conversation with myself, Kevin. I impressed the hell out of myself.
We heard everything that you said. We had you the whole time, believe it or not. And then suddenly, yeah, and you started looking around. I thought you were looking at a website, and then all of a sudden, bloop, you were gone. I'm like, all right. Did we say something? Did we smell funny today?
Sorry about that.
That was Jeff's version of a mic drop right there. Just like, I'm out.
Yes. All right. Oh, sorry. What in the world?
No worries. It was just a few seconds for that matter. But you were talking about the site Stat Counter, and I wasn't sure if I had the right one or not here. I was bringing this one up here.
Yes, but we want to get, that's the right site. You'll have to navigate to go and see the like if you do Stat Counter browser, like in a Google search, you'll want to get to where it shows you the actual data. And I can't remember how to navigate.
All right, so this is kind of their promotion.
That's their front end page, and you should be able to get to it from that. But you'll get to see for free.
Free's our favorite word here.
Yes, and so go through that. I think you're in the right place. You'll for free. This wasn't paid. You'll get to see that information I was talking about.
All right. So I see there's one for 30 days. I'm kind of skimming down in their footer here to see if there's anything, and I don't see it right off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, someone can go on the site and they can tool around and hopefully find it as well. So at least we get them in the right general area here.
Right. If I go to, by the way, you can do it on your, I can put it in our chat and you can decide if you want to share it.
Yeah, certainly. If you throw it over there, I can grab it out of the interview chat. I don't think you can go into the comment chat because YouTube kind of cracked down on your ability to Cybersecurity Month. I trust random links. Hey, there we go. All right. So there is the browser information, right?
Yeah, and it's starting at a worldwide level. And,
You
know, what gets useful is as you go in, you can go into different countries, right? And so down here, whether you want to know in a country, what's the most, and you can see down here, what's the most popular browser, search, OS, device type, social media. So now they're tracking all that stats. And, you know, and it might be useful to people for other reasons. The reason we talk about it from a tradecraft perspective is, again, what do I need to, what do I want to look like to blend in? If I want to blend in and pick your country, what does that mean from a digital fingerprint perspective? And,
that's amazing. Because, I mean, it's a lot of, as someone, it's like, okay, hey, I know I don't want to look like me, but as you'd mentioned earlier, you don't want to look like just a blank slate because that will have them really stand out.
Right.
But you want to look like the average person or a popular person coming through. And this is a phenomenal way to do that. That's great. See, now I'm saving this page now because I am going to personally look at
Excellent.
it a little bit later on. So thanks for the awesome resource.
No problem.
For sure. Again, any questions you might have for Jeff? I know we went down a couple little rabbit holes with a few things, but just feel free just to pop them into chat. Put a Q colon in front of there. If you're on Facebook, Facebook chat will come through here, but Twitter and LinkedIn chats will not. Unfortunately, they won't come back to us here. So you have to jump onto YouTube to ask the question. But if you post it in any one of those, we'll be watching, and we'll try to get the question over to Jeff so he can answer it for you, for sure. So I had another couple of questions, right? So the biggest question now, again, I want people to be aware of your solution, right? So obviously, since you're so knowledgeable in this area, you have a way around all of this stuff, right? And now that we're down to about the last 9 minutes or so, but don't feel pressured. We go over all the time. Number one, because it's our show. We can do what we want, right? we don't have a commercial break or anything that we have to abide by. But what are some of the ways that Authentic8 provides that help investigators with this and kind of walk through how that takes place?
Sure. So if you went to our website, and thank you for sharing that, Authentic8, the product we're talking about is called Silo for Research. Amazing name, right? We're talking about for research. And it is, it's a purpose-built platform that you can buy a subscription to, that is all about helping individuals that need to do sensitive online research to be able to do that securely and anonymously. And it does that. It's got some core elements to it without going too long here. Number one, it starts with a remote browser that's in the cloud, right? So imagine your browser not sitting on your machine. It's in the cloud, in a container. All code is executing in the cloud, and only a benign stream is coming back down to your machine. So what does that do? That's the malware protection. No malware. You could, SOC teams that use security operations centers that are dealing with phishing links and phishing sites that they need to investigate, need to go to them, but they don't want to get any of the malware to come down, right? So it's a browser that's sitting in the cloud, protects you from 100% from all malware. It also, every time you start a new session, it refreshes. So it's a new browser or clean browser. So your patterns of life and behaviors from another investigation won't, you're not building up cookies and things. When you shut it down, it's all destroyed. And when you fire up again, you would have a brand new clean browser. So remote browser in the cloud that isolates you. And then there's the anonymity element. We have a global network with points of presence around the world. It's a managed research network that enables you to get in-region anonymous access to the internet. So we talked about masking your IP address. There's multiple levels. There's no way for the IP address, if you were going into a certain country or a certain region, you would be able to look like you're in that region. That IP address cannot be associated with you or your company or with us. And along with that, though, so now you're local. You look like you're accessing, we'll say Malaysia. I don't know why I'm on a Malaysia kick today, but I look like I'm in region and I'm there. I have a local IP address, my time zone, my language settings, all of that looks like I am in Malaysia, right? So that's from an IP perspective and an in-region access. And that gets important for different reasons. I mentioned SOC analysts again, but you can apply this to any sites. Things get geo-blocked, as you mentioned, right?
Sure.
I don't want anyone from the US coming IP address to get to this site. Or I'm only phishing or targeting individuals in this particular, we have plenty of that where they're targeting Australia with a phishing campaign. So my customers, and so to be able to see it and understand it, I need to be able to come in, in locally. But so there's a global managed research network to give you in-region access. And then we wrap a bunch of tools around that browser that helps the analysts conduct research. They range from pretty tactical screenshot, cloud storage, so you don't have to bring anything malicious into your own network, Translation. You might say translation, yes, you can use Google Translate, but all the tools that we put in, we make sure do not leave any footprints and no information is leaking. So for example, when you translate a page, that's normally not a problem, but that page knows. And if anyone's watching, if there's an adversary there is watching, they know you're translating. They know you're not a native speaker. So our translation that makes sure none of that happens. The site will not know that you are also having to translate that page because you don't understand Russian or pick your language. It also has a suite of another aspect of is being able to manage your attribution. So manipulating your user agent string. So within there, with a click of a button, so one, I'm clicking a button saying I need to be in Southeast Asia, and I'm fully isolated, but now I need to be there. I want to look like a Mac machine using Chromium, and so manipulating my device type, and I want that to look like an iPhone, not a Mac laptop, right? So manipulating your user agent string is all there, and there's other tools to help you automate your research. So that's what it's built for people that need to do this. It's also got built-in dark web access, so you don't have to download a separate, Tor browser and worry about the things like that. Yeah, so one click, boom, you're into the Tor network, and all that stuff applies. Anonymous, isolated, manage it, and then the last thing I'll say is, if for some it's important, as even it should possibly even be important to you as an individual. Again, there's an admin console wrapped around that for whoever's managing the tool to set policy and deal with all the logs, so that you're protected as an analyst. Even I didn't do that, or here's how I came across that information. I went here. That's all logged within the platform.
That's phenomenal. I'm so nerded out right now on so many levels, Jeff. You have no idea. I really want to see the product. So I know that Authentic8 now is a sponsor in Cyber Social Hub as well. So we're looking forward to seeing some videos of the product, of how it works. But I had this question here in our last 3 minutes here, because man, this was like perfect timing. I could not plan a show this well. My days in radio, it was like just flying by the seat of my pants all the time, which I pretty much do now as well. But Chris says that he plans to research some targeted individuals, whistleblowers, and do AI analysis to differentiate the two. And with that said, he's retired and on a fixed income. Obviously, the discounts things, that's you got to talk to sales for that stuff. Jeff doesn't do the sales stuff, but this is Cybersecurity Month, right?
It is.
And what do you have?
Couple more days.
What do you guys have on your site right now?
So we on the site have a 30-day free trial to sign up for research. So
wow,
the gentleman you just talked about, again, discounts, I could bring in sales there, but to get you started to see if and understand what it does, you can go straight to the site, fill it out. Note, by the way, when you fill out the registration, it'll end up part of the registration. It'll come through me. So if you mention the show here in the where did you hear about us, because we do a KYC check, know your customer. We're trying to, it's a pretty powerful tool, and we're not looking to give it to students trying to get around their Chromebooks. But there's a 30-day free trial. I'll make one note in case you're running there right now because you want to get on the dark web. We do not have dark web turned on, again, for more compliance and concerning reasons of what people may do. That's not in the free trial, but that can be turned on when for anyone that goes down into more of a proof of concept or whatever. But 30-day free trial, sign up now and you can use it. And there's a lot of tutorials and guides on how to use it. So please check it out.
Yeah, see, I can say this, Jeff. You can't. So if you're dealing drugs online in the dark web, they don't want you using their product to go.
I don't want you to do this. We really don't want that.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
So see, I can say that, not get in trouble by your corporate. I may catch some crap from Jennifer, but I'll be all right. All right.
I do want to plug one other thing.
Yeah,
by the way, check us out on NeedleStack too, on a podcast. It's called NeedleStack. Similar, we're this has been awesome. Your audience is, similar types of audiences. We do a weekly podcast. It's like 15, 20 minutes. We don't go as deep as you do here. But you might want to check it out. And it's all about tips, tricks, insights into online research. It's free. It's a podcast. There is no sales pitch on it. It's really just myself, as well as another gentleman named Matt Ashburn, who was a practitioner and was a CISO in the White House and stuff. And so he's a pretty smart guy. So come check us out, 15, 20 minutes on a Friday podcast.
Are you guys, where's it at? Where can they find you guys at?
It's Spotify. Well, first of all, you could go to the website. If you just go to Authentic8, which is authentic with an 8.com.
Yep. Okay.
You can link to it from there, but it's on Spotify and Apple. And there's other ones, but I only ever use Spotify and Apple for my podcast. But we push it out to all the traditional podcast platforms.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay. So make sure you guys take a look for that. I'm going to take a look for it. We're going to link, and we may already have it linked, but if we don't already, I know we're going to link all of your episodes and podcasts in from Cyber Social Hub's podcast page. We have a page just on podcasts. And then that way they can easily find it, right? Just go there, one click, on you go. It's a great resource. Jeff, thank you so much, my friend. Man, it was great getting to know you in the product and some of the just amazing capabilities that Authentic8 has out there. So we really appreciate you coming on the show.
And Kevin, I really appreciate you having me. Like I said, I've signed up, so I look forward to being in the community and checking out what's going on there and learning myself. And so super excited that we found each other. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. And you're going to get flooded with questions now that people know you're in the hub. Hang on for all the private messages
hanging in the hub,
coming your wing. Oh, Megan tells me that you're see, Megan is the person that makes sure stuff gets done. It's already linked in the podcast page. So there we go. Just got to go to our podcast page and you'll find Jeff in the NeedleStack podcast there. So thanks, Megan. I appreciate that. And Jeff, again, thank you. Hang out. Don't go anywhere yet. And for everyone else, if you do have a question for Jeff, you can find him in Cyber Social Hub. Also, don't forget, when you come to Cyber Social Hub, I don't know if we have a link out to it yet, but I know Authentic8 is also presenting at Cyber Social Con, which is in December. So it's December 14th and 15th. It's our online conference for digital investigations. You guys are going to be there for that. That's going to be a lot of fun, 100%. A lot of great information. So again, thanks much.
Look forward to the event.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Take care. And like I said, hang out for just 1 second for me.